It's April 7th here in Zone 6B, Missouri, and I'm going to show you everything I'm currently growing in my small space container vegetable garden. Let's take a look. Walking into my back deck, the first thing you'll notice are these two containers and the arched trellis. The arched trellis is actually new this year. I'm really excited about it. And you'll also see we have a really big, beautiful tree canopy. This is wonderful for providing shade in those hot summer months when we are spending time out here, but of course not so great for growing vegetables. So that does create some challenges here in the back deck. These containers are right outside of my back door, which is off of the kitchen. And so I really like to grow herbs back here just to make it really convenient to come outside and snip some off when I'm cooking. Back here I have parsley, rosemary, and sage. These are all transplants. And you can see those peas are starting to sprout up. Those were planted 2 weeks ago and they were direct sown with the intent that they will grow up that arched trellis. And this is the container on the other side of that trellis. Again, more herbs, oregano, rosemary, and dill, all transplanted, and another set of these snap pea seedlings. This first container bed here, I have a mix of plants that I started from seed indoors and planted outside as transplants in about mid-March. And then I also have some plants that I started from seed directly in this container. So the ones that were transplanted outdoors in mid-March are going to be Swiss chard, endive, I have tatsoi, I have a couple different varieties of kale, more Swiss chard, and then I direct sowed spinach and a lettuce blend. And then I also have those snap pea seedlings coming up, and this trellis is also new this year, so those will be growing up that hopefully soon. In these hanging baskets, I'll be putting flowers as soon as it warms up a little. Always want to help out our pollinators. These next two containers are some of my older ones. They're about 7 years old. They each have 3 different plastic tubs in them. In this first one, I'm growing kale and endive. Those were started from seed indoors and transplanted outside mid-March. I started them from seed mid-February. And then I direct seeded some carrots on March 18th. They are growing slowly. This one I have radishes. I will be thinning those out soon and adding them as microgreens to salads and smoothies. And then I also have another couple types of kale and a Swiss chard. The Tuscan kale I purchased at a store, but the other ones I started from seed indoors. And in here I have beets that were planted about the same time as those carrots and radishes, another endive, some Swiss chard. I labeled this as kale, but that definitely does not look like kale to me. In this next container, I have a bunch of Swiss chard. It's doing just okay. I started from seed, and I think I left the heat mat on too long. They became a little leggy. I also have chives, the rest of my Tuscan kale, and more Swiss chard, which I bought as transplants. Moving along to my deck railing, I have a bunch of parsley here. I planted these as transplants about mid-March, and they're just growing really beautifully. I've already harvested from them. And in this next one, I have thyme, Greek oregano, and more parsley. Again, all were purchased as transplants. In this container, I have carrot seedlings that definitely need to be thinned out. I will be doing that very soon. These were planted on March 2nd. In fact, this entire bed was planted from seed on March 2nd. So I have carrots. This is mustard spinach in the middle. It's growing really well. Yes, I know they are planted very closely together, but I harvest a lot continually throughout the season, and so I do plant mine a little bit closer together. These little kale popped up. I did not plant kale in the middle of my carrots, but some seedlings went ahead and popped up there. So obviously there were some seeds that got in and I just left them. We're gonna see what happens there. Over here I have a more traditional variety of spinach also doing well. And then behind it I have arugula. And I have already harvested from this bed multiple times. Again, all planted from seed March 2nd. I do use frost cover to extend my season, so do know that. I have arches that are adjustable that I can make larger and smaller as needed, and I use those really through mid-April. I actually had them on this morning but took them off to do the garden tour. I'll be putting them back on tonight because it actually is supposed to get below freezing tomorrow morning. I have another railing planter here, some mint, Italian oregano, and thyme. And then down here are some metal containers. So this is actually what I first started gardening in before I invested in my larger containers, just these small metal containers, and they've lasted me all these years. They work really great. And here I have kale that I just planted from transplants yesterday. I have some mint, some dill, some parsley, some Swiss chard. These metal containers will get planted out with some native plants and some flowers that do well in the shade here in my backyard, and then I'll put them around the garden, but it's just a little too chilly for that quite yet. These raised wooden beds back here are some of the first ones we built when I got into vegetable gardening about 7 years ago. So the deck is behind me. There's some stairs down here to this patio, and these beds really are a challenge because I get a lot of shade from that big tree canopy that I showed, and just the way that the house is situated, these really do not get a lot of sunlight, and I struggle with them every year. So it's not as hard with my spring vegetables just because those don't require as much sunlight as those summer vegetables that I love to grow. So right now I have celery, Napa cabbage, I have a red kale, and then I have some joy choy that I planted actually just yesterday from transplant. We do have drip irrigation down here as well as in the front bed, which I'll show you next. We have not turned it on yet for this season because it has been below freezing at night occasionally. We will probably go ahead and turn that on here in the next few days since it seems like we're maybe out of those freezing temperatures for the rest of the season. Coming around to the front of my house, this is my front raised bed. This gets the most sunlight. So this is where I usually grow all of my tomatoes in the warmer months. But for now, we have some red cabbage. I have peas, beets, celery, Napa cabbage, chives. I just planted some radish seeds in there. I need to water that today. More of that joy choy. Thank you for joining me today, and I can't wait to update you as the season progresses.